This video is for the calibration of an 800 or an 8000 I load log. So in order to enter the calibration, you must press the menu key, the red key, select number 1 for calibration, enter the factory pin. The default factory pin is 4084. Press the enter key, which is the green key. Go into AutoCal, which is number 1. It will ask for the dynamic full lifts first. And if you enter that, and we actually you would fill the bucket completely full at this point, and then you would do a fast lift. A fast lift means that the RPM of the engine is at fairly much its highest point, so a wide open lift. Please note what happens when we do this. Okay, so the milliseconds that it took to lift at fast was 2755. The frequency from sensor A was 6824, and the frequency from B was 2591. Note that A must always be higher than B. These numbers may not be representative of your loader, but there should be a differential between those two, between A and B, and A should always be higher than B. Once you're satisfied that you have a fast lift, you press the enter key. It will ask you for the slow lift. It's the exact same bucket full of material, and because we are running on a simulator here, our numbers are going to be very similar. As you can see, they're very similar numbers. These, you would expect these to be different on an actual loader in the field. Once you're satisfied, again, press the enter key, and it tells you what it did down here at the bottom. These numbers are really not all that important. It just says that it set the speed compensation. Once you have the speed compensation set, you would also do the live static comp, which is the next one that comes up there on the screen. Live static comp means that we go to the weighing position, and as you can see, a graph comes up on the page, and the live static comp, even though it's running very high here up above the line, right through the middle of this line, you can see the B line much better, but the A line is up here very high, and it's running along here. Once it reaches the other end, which is the right hand side of the screen, the live static comp will be completed and we will be done. And you can see that it says calibration done. So we can hit the escape key. We go to the dynamic empty lifts, which is, again, no weight in the bucket. And again, we are going to do both a fast and a slow lift. Please note that the sensor A frequency has gone down substantially because we don't have much weight on it. And third, look over here at sensor B, which is the return sensor, and really not much has changed there. The B sensor will change some, depends a fair amount on the machine. But again, we're satisfied with that result, so we press the enter key. Now we do a slow lift, and again the frequencies are going to be the same because we are on a simulated loader here. Press the enter key, and it tells us that the calibration is done. Once we've done that, it will ask for the 0, and the 0 is just that. It's a normal speed 0. So the dynamic 0 would be to lift the empty bucket at quote normal speed. You can tell that I went too fast, and consequently we're going to slow down here a bit, and it took the number and then it's set to 0. Now it's asking us for the static 0. We lift the bucket to the weighing position, and again it does that. The last thing is the cal weight. And what we're going to do for the purposes of this discussion is say that we are going to just guess the cal weight in. You can see that the cal factors start at 1 and 1. We're going to fill this bucket all the way full, and because we don't have a standard weight right this moment, what we're going to do is we're going to call this a 10-ton load. So what we do is just lift the bucket with the load in there. Again, too fast. We'll get there. The display reads 3.342 tons, and in order for us to just simply tell it it's 10, we just type 10.0 in on the keyboard, and you can see that it readjusted our cal numbers, and it's asking us to lift to the static position. It will weigh again, and when it weighs, it will display the weight, again 3.345 tons. We're just going to simply tell it that that's 10 ton. Notice that it's told us that the calibration is completed. If we press the button in the upper right hand corner to the main screen and we lift the bucket, because we've told it it's 10 ton, it should weigh 10 ton, which it does. It should also weigh 10 ton in dynamic, and in this case it's 10.02, which would be 40 pounds within, certainly within reason of 10 ton. So once you have this, if you need to adjust the scale, that's called nudging the scale, and what you would do is press the menu key again, go to the nudge screen, which you can see that the upper line here has the display, the 8000i, and the middle line is the actual scale. So if we said that this was not 10 ton, that the display said it was 10, but it was actually 11.5. Once you have the scale calibrated where it repeats the weight of the full bucket, and in this case we're doing it in static, but this is 10.02 tons, so it is repeating quite well. At this point, if we need to nudge the scale, what we call nudging the scale, which would be the final adjustment in the calibration, simply put, once we know what that weight actually is, what we would do is we would press the menu key, which is the red key. We would press the second button from the right hand side at the bottom, which has a scale on it, and we would very simply tell the Loadlog 8000i exactly what difference there was. So in this case, we know that the scale read 10.02. This is the 8000i, and we ran this load across an actual truck scale, and we discovered that it was 11.5. This is our example. That is a 14.77% adjustment, and we have to press the enter key to accept, and new factors are set. So when we go back to the main page and we lift this bucket, we should get something more like 11.5, and in this case we got 11.48. So this is the way that you nudge the scale. Nudging the scale can be accomplished by running the loader over the scale or by weighing a particular bucket load. When nudging based on a truckload, use caution because the truckload nudging is being done on multiple buckets, and remember that you are nudging the scale. Each bucket will go up by the percentage of the error. So if you nudge the scale by 5% based on 4 bucket loads, there is a possibility of nudging the scale too far in one direction. That should conclude the calibration and nudge portion of our discussion here for today.